You are born 300,000 years ago in what is now Morocco. No name yet, no blanket, no fire close enough to matter, just a small, screaming body in a world that has already decided you probably won't make it. Here's the number nobody wants to sit with. Statistically, you have better odds of dying in your first year of life than surviving it. Not a risk. Better odds of dying than living. If you beat that, you spend every year afterward being hunted by animals faster than you, eating plants that might quietly kill you over the next 6 hours, and trusting strangers whose intentions you cannot verify, because trust was the technology that kept early humans alive. And yet if you get past all of it, the diseases, the predators, the 1,000 ordinary catastrophes that were just Tuesday, you have a real shot at living into your 60s, maybe your 70s. Which means the question we're about to ask isn't new. It's the oldest question our species has ever asked itself. How long can a human being actually live? Not on average, not propped up by hospitals and antibiotics, at the raw outer edge of what human biology allows, with nothing standing in the way. Scientists don't agree on the answer. Some believe there's a hard ceiling wired into our biology, immovable no matter what we throw at it. Others believe that ceiling is a story we tell ourselves because no one's broken it yet, and that the first person to live past 150 may already be alive, walking around, completely unaware of what their own cells are capable of. That's not a small disagreement. That's a fight over what a human body actually is. And it starts, strangely enough, back with that baby in Morocco. Here's what almost every documentary gets wrong about prehistoric life. You hear, early humans lived to 30, and your brain builds the wrong picture. 30-year-olds hunched over like elders, ancient by their third decade. That never happened. That number is a magic trick, and it's time someone showed you how it works. If one prehistoric child dies at age 2, and their sibling dies at 68, the average of those two lives is 35. Neither one of them was ever a 35-year-old. Nobody in that family was 35. The number is real. The picture it paints is a lie. Think of it as a curve, not an average. Early life was a bottleneck, narrow, brutal, unforgiving, more like a nest of hatchlings than a stable population. Most don't clear it. The ones who do, clear it by a thread. But past that bottleneck, the curve doesn't just improve, it transforms. Adults who survived childhood, dodged violence, and outran infection weren't fragile. They were the same biological machine you're running right now. Fully capable, fully adult, just operating with zero safety net underneath them. Which means your prehistoric ancestors weren't dying of old age at 35, they were dying of everything else. Their adult years functioned less like a fragile creature and more like a wolf, an animal that isn't undone by some internal shutdown switch, but by violence, infection, and bad luck. Remove those threats, and a wolf, like a human, has vastly more biological runway sitting underneath it than the surface-level number ever suggested. That gap between what kills you and what your biology could actually survive is the whole question we're chasing today. And in 300,000 years, we've barely closed it. Now, fast forward. You're at a routine checkup. Your doctor looks at your chart and says something no doctor has ever said in the entire history of medicine. Based on your biology, you could live to about 500. That conversation has never happened, and it's not happening tomorrow. But the question underneath it is dead serious, and here's where it stops being comfortable. The oldest verified human being in recorded history was Jeanne Calment, a French woman who died in 1997 at 122 years and 164 days old. She met Vincent van Gogh as a teenager. She was still riding a bicycle at 100. She outlived her own daughter by 25 years and her grandson by 12. She smoked until she was 117. Nobody, anywhere, in any country, has come within striking distance of her record since. In 2016, researchers at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine dropped a claim that detonated inside the scientific community. Maximum human lifespan has already peaked, they said. Sitting around 115, with 125 as a probable hard ceiling, More people than ever are reaching old age, but the oldest ages themselves haven't moved. Not even a little. Other researchers came back swinging almost immediately. The data's too thin, the sample's too recent. You cannot draw a hard biological ceiling out of a dataset barely a century deep. So before we've even reached the exotic science, the most basic question, is there a ceiling at all, is still an open brawl in the literature. Keep that in your back pocket. It matters later. To understand why serious adults are still arguing about this, you need to know what aging actually is, because it's not one thing. It's several systems failing at once, quietly, for decades. Your cells copy themselves constantly, and every copy introduces small errors that pile up over a lifetime. Your telomeres, the protective caps on your chromosomes, the same job as the plastic tips on shoelaces, shrink with every division until the cell simply can't divide properly anymore. Your epigenetic programming, the instructions that tell genes when to switch on and off, slowly drifts out of alignment with what it was originally built to do, and cells that should have died but didn't sit in your tissue leaking inflammatory signals, quietly damaging everything around them. Your prehistoric ancestors almost never lived long enough to experience the full weight of any of this. Predators, infection, and childbirth got to them first. Modern medicine didn't push the ceiling higher, it just finally let people live long enough to slam into it. And here's the sentence that should actually stop you. If aging is caused by specific, identifiable mechanisms, then those mechanisms are, at least in theory, fixable. Not inevitable, fixable. Because nature has already solved this problem, just not for us. Bowhead whales live past 200 years confirmed, because Inuit hunters have pulled 19th century harpoon tips out of whales still very much alive today. Their DNA repair systems are so aggressive that despite having far more cells than a human, far more chances for something to mutate into cancer, they almost never get it. Greenland sharks are estimated to live 400 years or longer, aging in slow motion so extreme it barely resembles aging at all. And an ocean quahog clam, nicknamed Ming because it was alive during China's Ming dynasty, was verified at 507 years old when it was collected. That clam was already old when the printing press hadn't even reached England yet. If your prehistoric ancestors' adult years played out like a wolf's, limited by violence and infection, not an internal countdown, these animals are playing a completely different game. They're aging like whales, slow, steady, no dramatic cliff, just decade after decade of quiet maintenance. And here's the uncomfortable part, modern humans, with medicine stripping away most of the wolf-era threats one by one, are already drifting toward that same whale-like pattern. We're not there, but we are closer than any human who has ever lived. Here's something worth sitting with. Everything you just heard, we only know because scientists pieced it together from bones, teeth, and fragments left behind. Nobody can tell you what it actually felt like to live it, what that baby in Morocco was afraid of at night, how they learned which berries would kill them and which wouldn't, how they decided who to trust, in a world where trusting the wrong person got you killed. That's the part that never fits into an 8-minute video, so I built an entire course around it instead. The Secret Lives of Ancient Humans, 10 modules, over 3 hours. A PDF guide that's yours to keep. Everything I couldn't say here. What they feared, how they communicated before language was fully formed, what was hunting them, and exactly how they fought back. If this video made you curious about the 300,000 years that built the body you're sitting in right now, that course is where the curiosity actually gets answered. Links in the description. It's genuinely the deepest I've gone on any of this, anywhere. Now, back to the science, because it's about to get uncomfortable. Here's where serious, credentialed scientists stop agreeing entirely, and both sides deserve to be heard in full. One camp researchers like Aubrey de Grey and David Sinclair argues aging is accumulated damage and nothing more. Not a program, not a design, an engineering problem. Repair the damage faster than it builds up, and there is no theoretical reason a human body couldn't keep running indefinitely. Sinclair's lab has already shown partial reversal of age-related decline in mice using epigenetic reprogramming, quite literally resetting a cell's internal clock backward. The other camp, led for decades by researchers like Leonard Hayflick, who discovered that human cells can only divide a fixed number of times before stopping, argues aging was never a malfunction to begin with. It's the tail end of a developmental program your body was always going to run. Evolution stopped caring about you the second you finished raising your offspring. There was never a survival incentive coded in for the decades after that. You weren't broken. You were finished. Neither side has been proven wrong. This isn't a settled question someone forgot to mention. It's a live fight, happening right now, between people who've spent their entire careers on opposite sides of it. And here's the part almost no longevity video wants to say out loud. If any of this actually works, it will not work for everyone at once. It never has. The first humans in 300,000 years to meaningfully break past that 120-year ceiling almost certainly won't be the ones who need it most. They'll be the ones who can afford it. Wealth that normally cycles through a family over generations simply stops cycling. Inheritance stalls out. Power concentrates and stays concentrated. The gap between the longest-lived and the shortest-lived humans on Earth, a gap that was already brutal 300,000 years ago, back when the killer was a predator instead of a price tag, could tear back open. Same wound, different weapon. That baby, born 300,000 years ago in what is now Morocco, never got a vote in how long they'd live. Predators decided. Infection decided. Childbirth decided. Their biology was a hand they were dealt, not a choice they made. You may be the first generation in the entire history of this species who actually gets to vote. The oldest confirmed human being to ever exist made it to 122 years old. Whether that number is a ceiling, a milestone, or a floor is being fought over right now in real laboratories by real people who genuinely do not know the answer yet. And whatever they find is going to matter to every single person watching this video, including you. So here's my actual question for you. Ceiling, milestone, or floor? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one, and I'm genuinely curious where this audience lands. And if this is the kind of thing you want more of, subscribe, because we go this deep into the strange, buried corners of human history every week.